Good evening everyone and welcome to League of Europe. We are here for Season 4 Division 1 action. It is round 14 of the Championship as we take in the Japanese Grand Prix from the Suzuka International Circuit. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream here tonight. My co-commentator is here, Mr. Daniel Field. He has just gone for a drink, however. I've surprised him. I'm probably going to surprise him by me starting the stream just that little bit early. But he is here and he is going to be joining me alongside in the commentary box very shortly indeed. You can see him there down at the bottom of the list. Let's get started then right into the thick of the action because we want to run you through the driver's standings. Montana on 247 points. Alphatrix on 244. 3 points. That's all it is. 3 points separate the championship leaders going into the fifth last round of the season here in Japan tonight. Hopefully we're going to be seeing some great racing. And Dan, we were just saying, I am live by the way, and good evening to everyone that is tuning in. And yeah, you seem a bit shocked. I wanted to surprise you a little bit by starting the stream a little bit early. How you doing anyways?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, you've really caught me off guard. I haven't even had time to open my drink yet, but yes, I'm doing fine. You really, if that was your aim to catch me off guard, you've done pretty well in that regard, so well done.
Yeah, I wanted to get the stream a little bit started just to focus on this battle for the championship lead. Montana Alphatrix, I was just saying, 3 points separating the top two in the championship. We saw Campbell win last time out though in Singapore. Just how important is it for Montana and Alphatrix to regain their focus and really deliver out on track tonight?
Yeah, they really do have to be critical with how they're driving, and they have to nail everything tonight because it was quite a crazy race last week, and of course Campbell took the win. And I'm not too sure I remember where they all finished, but Alphatrix and Montana, they did finish high up, but just not in the position that they want. So realistically, they have to really focus up to get back to that 1-2 spot they're so familiar in.
I believe none of them actually finished in the top 3 positions. I believe Toxic got on the podium, and I'm trying to search desperately for the other person. I've totally forgot who it was, but Campbell in third. He's now tied with D. Daniel on 90 points. Suka in fifth on 74. Verstappen in sixth on 69. We'll run through the rest of the grid now as well. Neo in seventh on 59. Rocco in eighth on 55. Toxic with that podium finish last time out. He's in ninth and 10th with Killer Blue because Killer Blue's tied on points on 54. Cohen in 11th on 50 with Bolin in 12th on 42. Larkin in 13th on 41. M. Short in 14th on 37. Just Asas in 15th on 27. Droppier in 16th on 21. Chapelelli 17th on 20. Connor, who is here tonight for the first time since Belgium, he is here and he's on 18 points and 18th. Josh is not here tonight. He's in 19th on 15. Kuka Games in 20th on 14. Dakar in 21st on 11. Matthias picking up his first points score of the season last time out. He's on the 1 point right at the bottom. And you, my friend, need to get into spectate mode because it looks like we're beginning to go a little bit early. But looking at that grid, Kazizzle, a noticeable person coming in tonight, Connor as well returning. How do you think those two are going to get on out on track, especially at a track like Japan?
The nerves are definitely going to be there. It is a very, very tricky track, and if you haven't had enough practice, you are probably going to see yourself down the order or spinning around if you aren't careful enough, really. So these guys, the nerves will be high for them. Of course, Connor coming in the Alfa Romeo tonight. I believe he's filling in. It's not Spine. Spine isn't with us anymore. Who's he filling in for? It's you.
Joom.
Yeah, or not Yoom. Joom. Apologies there. I don't know why I said Yoom, but it is Joom, and Kazizzle's in the racing point tonight. So yeah, these guys really do have to focus up, but you know what, I think they could do a good job. If Connor's last performance in Belgium all those weeks ago is anything to go off of, then he is going to have a cracking race.
Yeah, just having a look at everyone in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in already to Division 1. Most of the guys are going to be seeing some great action out on track tonight. Exo Lando coming in. Imagine a Prost and Senna-esque moment between Montana and Alphatrix at either the chicane in 1989 or the first turn in 1990. Imagine that indeed. I don't think we'll personally get that. I think these guys are too wise to do that, but we'll see. Hopefully. Matthias very pleased with his single point last time out as well. At least he's on the point scoring sheet, unlike Doom and unlike Kazizel. Hopefully Kazizel certainly can right the wrongs of the season so far. He's of course alongside Montana in that Alfa Romeo. But we are about to get into qualifying, and if it's anything like the Turkish qualifying from earlier on today, we're going to be in for a bit of a shock, but things don't really surprise me sometimes in Division 1.
Yeah, well, we're probably going to see Alphatrix and Montana back where they belong, scoring very strongly. But you know what? We could see some other surprises from the newer drivers, Connor and Kazizel. They're a bit of dark horses in Division 1. We haven't seen them too much so far this season in the top tier. One start between the two of them. Kazizel, this is his debut race in Division 1 for this season. So maybe they could throw a spanner in the work. And
Ooh.
oh my word, what am I seeing? Killer Blue is the first out on circuit.
Killer Blue takes the trophy for being first out on circuit. Montana was second. I rode on board with Montana just coming out of the pit lane, and Killer Blue just about got in front. So the Williams now first out on track, and we take you through, of course, these corners here in Japan. 18 corners do await these drivers out on track tonight. Famous corners like 130R, the hairpin, the spoon curve, down the back straight, through the Deckners as well, the Casio triangle, all awaiting us here out on track. And we do have to reflect on what happened here in the past, remember. Jules Bianchi sadly passing away in 2015. His crash, of course, his horrible crash in 2014, really costing him his career in Formula 1 and eventually costing him his life. Our thoughts are definitely with him as we come to Japan here tonight in Division 1. But seeing these guys out on track, who is your money on, possibly for pole position? Are you going to go with one of the two I'm thinking you're going to go for, or are you going to go with someone else?
You're probably the former of the options you mentioned. I'm either going to say Montana or Alphatrix. One of them two will be on par. I'm not saying it'll be a front row lockout. Well, that could be likely. But you know what? I think they are going to have the focus today to get back on top. The traffic jam actually beginning to form around about 130R. Montana's kind of backed off and has actually inserted himself right in front of Cohen and a Mercedes of either Chapelele, that is Campbell actually. Sorry, no, it's not either of them.
Killer Blue on the run down towards someone, I think it's a McLaren behind him out on track rather than the Mercedes. Killer Blue is through turn 2 and then through what they call the snake, not the S section, they call it the snake through here. Through turns 3, 4, 5 and 6. They come at you literally like left right punches that Mike Tyson throws in boxing. Killer Blue now through, up towards the end of the first sector split, through the Dunlop curve there, and then in towards 130R, and at this first sector split to 30.2 through the first sector, now through 130, through the Deckners I should say, Deckner 1 and Deckner 2, and then up the hill in towards the hairpin, where Kvyat of course lost it in qualifying a few years ago in the Red Bull. Killer Blue now on the run up towards what will be Spoon Curve. As he now comes through the right-hander. That MotoGP line is where they go normally around here in the MotoGPs. They don't take it here, of course, in Japan. As now, Killer Blue flies through into Spoon Curve, looking very nice on the curb there. And powers out too much, because he's invalidated out on track. And that was looking like a very clean lap from him so far.
Yeah, I was really enjoying riding on board with Killer Blue. It just shows how strict qualifying rules are. Even if you just go a millimetre off the circuit, and you are going to invalidate. But one man who hasn't invalidated is Montana. He'll be the first driver to put in a lap time for us. Now just coming through.
And he's in the pits.
Come on, man.
He's in the pit lane. Terrible. Just Asas is going to be the first to set a time. Runs out of EOS to the line, 125.9. Nice lap there from Just Asas. Verstappen going second as well, less than a tenth off in second. And Rocco just coming in there in third position. Trying on board with M Short as Toxic goes to the top of the standings with a 125.9. M Short, though, is coming through the middle sector, and he's now on the run up towards what will be 130R out on track, and I've already got confused. Suku goes quickest with a 25.7. Kuka Games goes second. Daka now goes second. So everyone getting that little bit of slipstream, I think, out on track, really working. And there comes Alphatrix in with a 125.5. M Short, will he challenge Alphatrix? He might do across the line. Goes second by 300ths of a second ahead of Suku. but Alpha Trix, the man on form, the man out on top currently.
Yeah, 25.5 is a really, really strong lap coming out from the grid there. Untitled Chapter there, he goes fourth fastest in a predominantly wheel track. Colin going into second position ahead of Neo, who's actually putting the time faster than M. Short and Tice on a lap. Just had a Mercedes car in front of him. It almost braked on the racing line. It seemed to have held him up too much. He managed to get out of the way. There's a Red Bull just in front of Tice as well, and he's getting really poor luck with the traffic. They're all coming at him really quickly. He's got some more cars just a pair ahead of him. I believe that's a Williams and a Renault car just in front of him. So not what he'd like to see on his lap. Of course, one of the only drivers yet to put in a lap. Just came through spoon curve right now, and he's got a little bit of a slide on there. He's held it well, but that will lose him a bit of time. He's actually going to pick up a little bit of slipstream from Alpha Trix. I don't know if that was too beneficial.
Might have been too beneficial, but he's through the middle sector, 109.9. It's going to be nowhere near the times that we've been seeing so far, but Matthias is up towards the Casio Triangle. Just going to throw it out there. I think you're a little bit quiet on my end. I'm not sure if you're a little bit away from your mic. But Matthias coming across the line now. 26.1, he goes 15th out on track. We've got Connor on an outlap, Montana also on an outlap. Connor, of course, filling in for Doom, and his only race this season was second place in Belgium. So if that's anything to go by, we should be expecting a big qualifying performance from him here.
Well, yeah, he was really crazy in that race. It was, of course, a brilliant Grand Prix, and if you haven't watched it, you can watch it on the League of Europe YouTube channel. But, of course, after this race here in Japan. But yeah, Connor really will be one to impress tonight if he can just hook up a lap. And he was fighting with some of the best drivers in the entirety of the League of Europe community, which is really a staple on his name, considering that was his only race in Division 1 this season. Nerves will be high for Connor, but I definitely think we're watching this Grand Prix.
Yeah, nerves won't be high for this man though. Montana coming through the snake section, through 3, 4, 5 and 6, really flying through this section, through the S section, and then up through the Dunlop curve, and then towards what will be the two Degners out on track. And Montana, oh my god, he nearly lost it coming through the Dunlop curve. Really unstable setup through the first sector to 31 flat. Given that he's just nearly lost it coming through the Dunlop curve. Very nice first sector indeed as he runs up the hill, past our camera shot and runs up into the hairpin. He's got a Red Bull ahead of him out on track, which will be just ASAS on an outlap. He pulls off to the left-hand side. Montana will try and get that faintest bit of slipstream as he now runs down towards Spoon Curve, which will be the next corner up and coming at turn 13, and then through down the back stretch towards 130. Oh, Montana now through Spoon Curve. He's right on board now as he comes through Spoon Curve, very close to getting invalidation through there, but it's a valid lap so far. And Montana on the run down towards the second sector split at 109.4. He is there or thereabouts, I think, in terms of Alpha Trix's lap as the Alfa Romeo flies through shot and now comes through the Casio Triangle at 16, 17 and 18. And Montana on a really good lap here, flies it out the final corner. Is it going to be enough to defeat Alpha Trix? Yes, by 1,000th of a second. Alpha Trix has now got to try and respond to that, but Montana goes quickest, and you can hardly split them, the two championship contenders. 1,000 separating. Brilliant stuff.
If that is not a detriment to how evenly matched these drivers are, then I don't know what is. 1,000th improvement on Alpha Trix. He will not be happy about that one. And Connor! What
a lap! 125.3, just caught the end of it coming through the Casio Triangle, and Connor now throws his hat into the ring. Commentated on him before in EML when he was good around here in Japan, but I didn't expect him to come 2 tenths ahead of Montana and Alpha Trix. Game on!
Well, that really has come out of nowhere. And that is incredible from Connor. It's a 1-2 for Alfa Romeo, currently on the grid at the moment, and Alpha Trix just sitting in third, but incredible. How has Connor done that? I do not know. And if he was here at the beginning of the season and he's putting in performances like that, he could have been a championship contender, even though, of course, qualifying doesn't mean anything and it's all about your race pace. So will he have that come race time? We'll just have to find out.
Just ASAS is responding well to pressure here. He's 3 tenths up coming through the Casio Triangle, now through turn 18. catching the non-existent bump now through there, and just aces across the line. He goes fourth, and he's only 6 thousandths off Montana in second. Let's run on board with Alpha Trix, and while Alpha Trix is responding, he's a 10th up through the first sector, through Spoon, and then on towards 130R. He's got a Ferrari just ahead of him out on track, which might cause him a few problems, but Alpha Trix through the middle sector, 109.3, quicker than Montana, but not as quick as Connor so far. He needs to find 300ths of a second, and his saving grace might come. Indeed, Daniel just ahead of him out on track. Alpha Trix now around the final corner, hits the bump to the right-hand side, runs adjacent to the pit wall, and he doesn't go quickest. He does not respond to Connor. He actually lost time by 500ths of a second in that final sector, and Connor, that man there, is out on top from Alpha Trix in second, Montana in third, and Campbell has lost it coming out the final corner. Oh!
I've just caught that as well.
Dakker's hit Verstappen as well, coming through into the Degners. Verstappen, I think, was trying to let Dacker through, and Dakker's got into the back of him, and I think Verstappen is the one that's actually picked up the 5-place grid penalty out on track. Right side end plate damage as well to Dacker.
There might be a little bit of... it's actually Dacker that's got the grip penalty. I'm just looking on the race director. Yeah, I just caught that right at the end. I have no clue how that happened. I seriously, I just went on board with Dacker as it happened. So, yeah, if it was a mistake, then it is clumsy stuff, but he's just deal with it when it comes to the race. Of course, might be starting way down the order right now. If it were stand like this, he'd be down in 18th position, which is just not where he wants to be at all. And on top of that, wing damage not going to allow for him to put in a lap if he wanted to this time by.
Yeah, M Short responding there to 5th. Toxic just goes 5th there as well, 125.5. But let me just say this point out on track. Cohen has not had a lap yet. Everyone out on track is separated by less than 8 tenths. Yes, you heard me right. 8 tenths of a second out on track. Bolin is on a lap. He's 500ths up, coming through 130R. Really flying through there is Bolin. 195 mile an hour onto the braking zone into the Casio Triangle through 16, 17 and 18. And now Bolin round the final corner, across the line. He's going to respond big time here. 25.6. And do you know what I said there? He's 1,000th off his personal best.
He was close, Bolin, but tell you what, just the slightest improvement from him, even a 10th coming off that lap, will put him in P3, which is quite crazy considering he's sitting in 8th place at the moment, and I believe Casizzle's just crossed the line, and he's gone 6th fastest, and M Short as well. Oh, he actually set his lap quite a while ago, never mind then.
Casizzle, yeah, just catching on board with the end of his lap there, 25.6, most notably actually, he was on a lap before that, and he must have invalidated because it's showing as 2 laps he's done on that set of soft compound of tyres. So Casizzle goes 9th on his debut here in League of Europe, and when he's consistent, he is quick. When he's not consistent, he's probably towards the bottom end of the field. But Casizzle, I think, doing a good job so far in qualifying. 5.5 minutes to go. Connor leads from Alpha Trix Montana, and Montana is the one that is on a lap coming through the S section. And we'll ride on board with him. And Matthias, by the way, I think improved up to 14th as well. 25.7 from him. Montana through the first sector, 30.8 through the first sector. That's more like it.
Yeah, he managed to improve off of that previous kind of half spin that he had on his previous personal best at the moment. Who knows whether he'll improve or not, just coming out of the hairpin and up towards this long right-handed, just a little curve up towards, of course, Spoon Corner, where Verstappen and Vettel collided back in 2018. What drama that caused, but now coming off the exit and on the run up towards 130 on Montana. He's looking really clean on this lap, I do have to say. He's not running with much fuel on the car, but this is, oh my goodness me, he's still not quick enough to dethrone Connor at the moment, but if he can have a monstrous run through the Casio Triangle where he enters the braking zone now, this could be a scorching lap from Montana. Now just coming out towards the final corner, DRS open to the pit wall, and he goes quickest. Wow.
Even surprises me, but Connor is responding. 400 up through the first sector, and now he is reaching 130R on the run towards 130R. Let's see what he is through the middle sector. He's a 10th up, and Connor is beginning to respond to Montana. Who would have thought it? The 2 Alfa Romeos going to be fighting it out possibly for the top 2 positions on the grid. Connor through the final corner. He lost time, and he's into the pit lane. I'm not going to judge on that. I think that's a good move, possibly, from Connor. He was improving, but he's into the pit lane with 3 3/4 minutes to go, basically. So Connor into the pit lane, and Alphatrix is the one that's just started a lap out on track. We've got Cohen as well, running up towards the end of the middle sector. And he's a 109.6 through the middle sector, so it's not too bad in terms of Cohen's middle sector. Expect him to go maybe Neo D. Daniel sort of areas where I'm looking. Cohen now through the Casio Triangle, through 18, really fighting the car through there and across the line. And he goes 14th, so actually just behind those guys that I mentioned, 25.7, and it puts him 14th. Kooky Games, who's had a good qualifying in the past, has just invalidated coming out of Spoon.
Well, that's quite unfortunate from him, but sitting in 20th position, he's only 6/10 off of Montana at the moment. So despite all these guys putting in drastic improvements on their lap times, the gap has actually come down. I believe it was 7 or 8 tenths before. Now it is just about 6 tenths. So really incredible stuff there. How close this division is. Probably the closest you'll ever get in league racing, I have to say.
Yeah, just over 6 tenths of a second separating all drivers who have set a lap out on track. Larkin just making that point as well there. Kooky Games has retired from the session. I think he's retired that in the pit lane. Not sure if there's anybody actually on a lap. Alphatrix, I think, is. He's just starting one now, isn't he? As he comes through the final corner. Let's take us through a lap then with Alphatrix.
Do you want to take it or should I?
I'm giving it to you.
Oh, brilliant. So now coming up through the first couple of corners here. You want to take a late apex through there, but he's done that pretty nicely. And now be careful of these curbs, they will get slippery. There's just ASAS just getting out of the way quite nicely. There's a yellow flag up ahead. It looks like a Renault car might be going slowly, or a Ferrari. But now coming up through the Dunlop curb, we see Alphatrix 290 kilometers per hour into the braking zone. He's a little bit down on his time. But you know what, a 30.8 is a respectable first sector, so maybe there is more time on this lap. Now up towards the hairpin for the one and only time on this lap. He's got a couple cars up ahead of him, an Alpha Tauri and a Renault car. Toxic getting out the way. The Renault of either Neo or Dakar is just in front of him, so now up towards this is Spoon curb. And yeah, can get another late apex, just avoiding the curb on the inside. He's going to get a really nice toe off of the Renault car here, and this will give him so much speed coming up towards 130.
He's not quick.
He's still down. How is he? He's had a really clean lap, so unless he is not going to push towards the end, he can make up a lot of time through Casio Triangle, but this could be a much better lap from Alphatrix. Now up towards the line.
Oh.
And he improves, he doesn't improve, and it is only marginal.
So Alphatrix can only hope to go third. That's the best he can hope for. It's as simple as that. So it could be a straight shootout between Montana and Connor out on track. M. Short is on a lap. He's 700s up through the first sector. Sure, we've got other guys as well who are nearing the end of their laps. Kazizel is one that is preparing for another lap. But we'll run above M. Short as he comes through the hairpin out on track. We'll focus as well on Connor, on Montana, and on the guys further down the field as well, possibly. Just pointing out there as well, Dakar and Killerblue have set the same lap time. 1:25.911 out on track, and I hope 911 is not the phone number that they're going to be phoning later on here in Japan. But I'm sure running up the hill then in towards 130R. This is looking quite quick. 109.3 through the middle sector, exactly where you want to be, as Bolin goes quickest with a 25.2. So there's the first response. Bolin goes quickest. Alphatrix now can only hope for fourth, and M. Short, I think, is invalidated coming out the final corner. Across the line, 25.4. He would have got a 10th quicker, and he would have gone 5th with that lap. Let's see, Toxic not on a lap. Just ASAS is, but he's invalid. Alphatrix has slowed. I think he's run out of fuel, actually, his Alphatrix. Connor down by 600ths of a second. I'm not sure about Montana, but anybody else on a good lap?
Just trying to find, there's an Alpha Tauri just currently going through the third sector. I believe that is Verstappen. He is not pushing on this run. He's got his teammate, or that is a Red Bull car actually, of Just ASAS, who is finishing up on a run, and he has invalidated, unfortunately, so that brings it back to Toxic, who's also not pushing. I believe it is Super who's not pushing. Come on. There's Kazizel, and they're actually getting in the way of the two Alpha Tauris, Alpha Romeos.
Montana's a 10th up, 109.2 through the middle sector. Rocco gets out of the way. Connor's just behind him out on track as well. But Montana round the final corner. Can he respond to Bolin through the Casio triangle? Montana to the line. 25.1. My voice breaks, but Connor across the line. He goes second, and Montana has pretty much secured it, I think, unless Chapelelli's on a good lap. He's lost his front wing, actually, as Chapelelli out on track somewhere. Across the line, he does not improve, and it's an Alfa Romeo 1-2. It's Montana on top, Connor second, and Alpha Trix is all the way down in fourth.
That is really going to be interesting from the start then. Of course, we're not going to have a Senna Prost 1990, if I'm not mistaken, moment where, of course, they took each other out in the first corner. So we're not going to see any of that unless Alphatrix gets a monstrous start. But what a performance from, I'm going to say Connor's actually had the most outstanding performance in qualifying here.
Yeah, really good qualifying. His second qualifying here. Montana on top, Connor second, Bolin in third, Alphatrix fourth, Daniel fifth, Just Asas, Toxic, Neo, M Short, Suku round off the top 10, Gazizzle, Chapelelli, Rocco, Cohen, Matthias top 15, Campbell, Verstappen, Daka, Killer Blue, Kuki separating by 7/10 of a second. Remember, with that 5-place grid penalty for Daka, it puts him down at the back, so those two guys in 19th and 20th actually start 18th and 19th. Daka starts right at the back of the field. But with that qualifying session over, it is now time for the race to begin here in Japan. Beautiful blue skies once again underneath the Japanese skies. We're not too far away as well from Mount Fuji, of course the Fuji Speedway being the other main track in Japan. And Fuji actually had a stint when Suzuka was actually getting relayed and redone. Fuji had a run as being the Japanese Grand Prix in 2007 and 2008, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then Suzuka returned to the calendar in 2009.
I never actually knew that. I might go back and watch some races. I was only young when those races were happening in 2007 and 2008. God, I would have been 4 or 5 at that time. So
and
I've changed quite a lot. It was actually my birthday on Wednesday, so I just want to throw that one in there.
What, this coming Wednesday?
No, just last Wednesday. It was my birthday.
Oh, last Wednesday just gone. Oh, happy birthday for last Wednesday. Forgot to give you a happy birthday message. Everyone wish him happy birthday in the chat. 5 seconds to go until we get into the lobby and until we get into the formation lap as well. Yeah, Fuji, I remember 2008, I think it was Hamilton that took the win in that really infamous race in Japan where there was a collision. David Coulthard got spun around earlier on in the race. It's up on, I'm sure there's a full race up on YouTube if you do want to look at that later on. Everyone though, we've gone 50-50. Top 10 starting on a set of soft compound of tyres, bottom 10 starting on a set of medium compound of tyres. And for Montana in front, he's 3 points in front coming into tonight, I believe. Unless it's the other way around, and I'm thinking Alphatrix is in second. Yeah, Montana leading the championship, 3 points ahead of Alphatrix. Just how important is it for him to have Connor, his teammate behind him, and Bolin, importantly, right in behind and in front of Alphatrix?
Yeah, it's going to be crucial for his championship run if he can keep those cars in between. It's a tricky circuit, Suzuka, to overtake someone. Unless Alphatrix gets a monstrous start, and I'll be sure to watch on board with him once he gets off the line. It is going to be very hard for him to get past these guys unless he gets that beautiful getaway, which is quite famous for this season. I definitely think he has been very strong off the line so far in this season in all the races that I've commentated over alongside yourself. But yeah, if he can't get by at turn number 1 and turn number 2, his race could be really down in the dumps.
Yeah, I think honestly it's so hard for these guys to try and overtake around here. The only real chance you get is down that one DRS straight, and that is down towards turn 1. Most of the moves will happen there. I will not be surprised, however, if I see a move around the outside of 130R or through the S section either. I think those two places out on track, and possibly even into the Degners, might be opportunities for overtaking and into the hairpin. So I'm just going back on myself and thinking through, how many corners are there and how many overtaking opportunities there could potentially be out on track. But we come towards the end of the formation lap, and I normally ask you for a top 3, and tonight is no exception. So who's your top 3?
My top 3 is going to be Montana, Connor. I'm tempted to put in Just Asas. I don't know why. I've got a feeling about him tonight. I'll go with Just Asas in third.
Just Asos in third. I thought you were trying to mix it up and say Alpha Trix for third. But, yeah, who knows? There is the view from the grid then. Montana and Connor on the front row. Alfa Romeo first row lockout in goodness knows how many years in Formula 1. And Montana will be aiming to try and really get a good race start. As now we are just moments away here out on track. The 5 red lights are about to go out here in Japan in round 14 of the championship. And it's lights out and away we go. Alpha Trix gets a good start. Montana gets a good start as well. And it looks like he's got Connor's number all the way down towards turn 1. And Bolin tries to go around the outside. Connor dropping behind Alpha Trix perhaps, but he stays in P3 for now as Montana leads through turn 1 and 2. Bolin in second. Connor third. Alpha Trix in fourth. Just Asos and D. Daniel are going side by side through the S section. Red Bull against Ferrari and there's contact and Alpha Trix has been spun. Alpha Trix have been caught, spun, and there's all sorts of carnage. That must be a safety car or VSC. Surely going to be deployed. There's so many drivers being caught up in contact. Chapelletti's been caught up in contact and a VSC has been deployed immediately, and Alpha Trix, the main championship contender, 3 points behind Montana, is all the way down in 19th position, but luckily for him, no front wing damage as Connor has left the session.
I'm hoping he's able to get back in, Connor, but well, I was going to comment on Alpha Trix's start and he just got caught up in something. I don't know whether he dropped that by himself or if he made contact with D. Daniel and Just Asos after they had their collision. I think D. Daniel was on the outside there and Just Asos might have just got a little bit of understeer and went into him, but yeah, as we resume racing,
Bolin's right on the
past.
Yeah, Bolin right on the back of, well, he was on the back of Connor, but drama here early on in Japan. Connor has rejoined. If he can take control of his car, he might still have a chance of being in P3. There's the yellow flag in Sector 2, Matthias is round. We're coming down through the straight. I'm not sure where he's lost that out on track, but Montana leads. Bolin second, Connor in third. If he can rejoin, he'll be in P3. Verstappen and Chapelletti are going side by side, and now Kuki Games around the outside of Chapelletti as Connor set to 25.2 lap time. That's absolutely ridiculous, but Matthias is now Kuki Games is through and he's up into P13. Look at how many drivers are coming into the pits. M Short caught up in that, D Daniel caught up in that, Campbell caught up in that as well. Drama here early in Japan, but on lap 2 it is Montana who leads, Bolin second and Toxic in third, just in behind Connor, who's actually in third position.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking in the pit lane. Has Campbell's fitted a set of intermediate tyres?
No.
Why?
That's impossible. Connor, by the way, is just rejoined in front of Toxic, so he remains in that P3. More importantly for the Alfa Romeo driver than the Alpha Tauri, and the Alpha Tauri right on the back here. Toxic looking to try and replicate that podium finish in Singapore last time around. Verstappen, by the way, is through on Kazizel. Matthias has rejoined the session as well. Kazizel has now left the session, so I wonder if there's a few little error messages really happening, and there's been a little bit of a glitch maybe with drivers rejoining, but that might be investigated, of course, after the race. Montana leads. There's a predicted pit stop strategy, lap 9 to 10 on a set of soft to hards for Bolin anyways. Montana there in first, and there is Campbell, just to prove it, he is on a set of inters. Ridiculous.
I'm going to ask him after this race what has happened there, because why is he on a set of intermediates? I don't know if that's a glitch or if he's put them on himself. That is really confusing on my behalf. I can only
think there's been a little bit of a bug with drivers rejoining and entering. With drivers rejoining the race, I think there's been a little bit of a glitch where it actually spawns the wrong tyres out in the pit lane for the drivers further down the field. Campbell was the only one that had that, and he's on a set of intermediates. I wonder if it might have been human error. Goodness only knows. But battle for third heating up. Connor is in third, beginning to pull away now actually out on track, and his AI might have not necessarily tried to provide a good action out on track. It nearly goes lawn mowing coming through the Degners, but good through there. Suka's really attacking Neil though out on track, and best of the medium runner so far is Rocco, and he's 3.2 seconds off after all of that carnage through the S section.
Yeah, before that it was Kazizel who actually had to wait up behind his teammate. He wasn't able to pit on lap number 1 when he wanted to because his teammate M Short came into the pit lane and he picked up damage somewhere. So Kazizel right at the back, just in front of Campbell, who is now back into the pit lane, going to take off those intermediate tyres, which is, well, that's good to say the least.
It is good to say the least. It goes on to a set of hard compound of tyres. Of course, Inters would have been the next sort of compound right next to the intermediates, and Campbell, I think, is going to come out of the pits just ahead of the pack, which could be quite interesting for the leaders. Toxic right on the back of Connor, though, for P3 out on track. Lap 4 has begun. This is the first opportunity that these guys will get in terms of DRS, as Daka and Just ASOS now go at it. Commentators curse for Just ASOS, maybe, but he's now through and he's up into P13 as Daka will try and fight. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. Not sure who that is. I'm just trying to see. I think it was Campbell getting out the way, perhaps. Coming through turn 1. I can see him. He's rejoined right in the middle of the pack, just in front of Cohen and Verstappen, I think.
Yeah, cold tyres, and he's going to be a lot slower than everyone else. He's actually gone just onto the gravel, just to probably get out the way, but that is not going to help the condition of his tyres. This is not looking good for Campbell, last week's winner, and just to add to his troubles, a rubbish 10-second time penalty.
I thought he had a puncture. It's just purely cold tyres, I think, for him out on track. Campbell getting out of the way. He's probably had to run on the grass to let everyone through. Kazizel, by the way, lagged out just having a look through. And, Yav saying in the comment section there, lovely commentator's curse for Just ASOS. I think that's directed more at you than me for the first time in about 20 seasons of League of Europe. Well, there has been 20 seasons of League of Europe, has there? Montana leads out on track with Bullen in second, Connor in third, Toxic fourth, Neo in fifth, Suku in sixth. Bit of support in the comment section from Patrick Kenworthy, who I know he's Oxide Nova, formerly of, in a league that I used to commentate on. And he's supporting Matthias. Matthias down there in 15th. He got caught up in a little bit of a collision in that S section, and he'd be hoping to try and make a gap through the field. He's just trying to get onto the back and latch onto this train that spans all the way, I think, from Kuka Games back to Matthias, as he's only about second and a half off as he comes across the line. But Montana does lead, Bollen in second position. There's not really much going on, to be honest.
Well, Campbell, yeah, that is so unfortunate for last week's race winner. He was going to have high hopes this one.
Rocco.
Rocco's lost positions. He's actually lost the car somewhere.
Through the S section.
Now that's frustrating for him. Then he's going to be down in 11th position behind the medium runners off Cohen. He's actually just been overtaken by Alphatrix there, who's recovering well from his spin, and he's trying to get back at these guys. He's got his teammate just ahead of him and Cookie Game, so he'll be one to watch out for in this Grand Prix as it progresses. Still has the soft compound tyres on, so he will have to make a pit stop, and he'll be much further behind Montana. For some reason, the yellow flags are showing up throughout the entire circuit.
That's his AI coming out of the pit lane.
And I think Chapelele's lost it somewhere, because there's another Mercedes, there's two of them.
Dunlop curve, just seeing that on the mini-map. I'm just trying to focus on Suku because he's trying to close up on Neo, but seeing on the mini-map, it looks like Chapelele might have spun coming through Dunlop curve. That's why we might have got the yellow flags throughout the circuit. Another little glitch that we've got to deal with. Montana, though, has really pulled away from Bollen all of a sudden. 1.4 seconds out on track. Montana has used up, 18% of EOS left. Bollen's got 7%. So Montana's really finding the pace early on, as we are about to see our first overtake of the night, as now Kuka Games and Killer Blue go side by side, and Killer Blue just wraps up that position through on his little finger taps, and Killer Blue is through and he's up into 9th position. Kuka Games 10th, Alphatrix in 11th. Alphatrix in this scenario, what do you think he would do? Because Kuka Games is in front of him, he's got his teammate 2 positions in front as well. I think for Alphatrix, go and get the position. It's as simple as that. He needs to respond after that spin.
Yeah, he's going to be losing tyre life around about this point. I believe lap number 10 is where we'll start to see some pit stops, maybe a little bit earlier. And Kazizel retires from the session, so does Chapelele in the pit lane. Both of them are part of the same esports team of FRL, so that is really not going to be a big morale boost from the two of them. And Alphatrix going really deep into the hairpin, but yeah, he is going to have to make that move as soon as possible.
Suku right on the back of Neo as well. Toxic trying to get closer to Connor. I've got to be honest though, Connor is beginning to eat into the advantage of Bollen and Montana. 1.6 seconds has been quite stagnant for the last lap or so. Yellow flags in sector 1 ignore because Kazizel is coming out the pit lane out on track, but we'll focus on Suku and Neo for P5 and 6. The pole against the German. And the German will be hoping for a good result, as will the Pole. Suku's been really consistent so far this season, and now opens up the overtake mode, and already you can see where this one is going to go, because Suku is drawn alongside, and he easily disposed of Neo, and that is the cleanest overtake of the night so far. Suku through, and he's up into 5th position, and now he can catch Toxic. 2.3 seconds is the advantage to him, and he can now throw Neo under a bus essentially and put him in that dirty air, and now Suku has got to push.
Yeah, really
Daka's
difficult to
retired.
follow, and Daka's out, and we've got a virtual safety car, second of the night. Where's he lost that? It looks like at turn number 1 there.
Turn 2, in fact.
Just turn 2, actually.
He's got two. I think he's got too Larry on that curb. There he is to the right-hand side, right on board with D. Daniel. And yeah, it looks like it's a case of he's just taken too much curb coming out of the outside through turn 2, and it's spun the car. If you get caught on that curb, it literally spins you 360 degrees sometimes, and Daka is out of the race, and that's our 4th retirement of the race already. Campbell out the race understandably because he put the wrong tyres on. Schiaparelli and Kazizel. Bolin, however, great VSC restart. He's right on the back of Montana.
Yeah, now he's crucially inside that 1 second window that he needs for that ERS. So if he could just push on Montana throughout the final sector, it is very difficult to follow around this circuit. But he could have a good run. Probably not going to be close enough to make a move into the first corner. But if he could just carry that momentum forward, keep within that second of Montana, he'll be in a really good position when it comes to the pit stops, because his tyres won't be as worn. And
Toxic,
that's an early stop.
Toxic into the pit lane. 20 laps on a set of hards can make it. I've commentated around here plenty of times, and 20 laps on a set of hards can make it. But the problem is he's going to be coming out in a bit of traffic, especially amongst the medium runners, because Toxic now coming out the pit lane. In fact, he's going to be in a lot of clear air for now, and I will reiterate that later on in the race. For now, but out on track, he's going to be catching the likes of Matthias, the likes of Just Asas, who are all going to be falling over each other essentially in this mid-pack battle, because Kuki Games is still holding these guys up. Alphatrix cannot find a way through. Verstappen's looking quite close as well on the back of Cohen, both on a set of medium compound of tyres, P6 and P7, and they're actually the best of the medium runners so far. Looking at the position gains, Cohen's gained 8, Verstappen's gained 10, Killablue's gained 10, Kuki Games is gained 10 out on track, so plenty of double-digit position gains for them out on track. But currently it's Montana who leads Bond in second, Connor in third, and who would have thought it? Alphatrix, his closest championship rival, Montana, down in 10th position on a set of soft compound of tyres, but recovering well, I've got to say.
Yeah, and this was kind of the case last week in Singapore, where he wasn't really strong for a lot of the race, but then he really came back towards the end. But the aforementioned Cohen and Verstappen probably in one of the best positions at this moment in time. Once the the soft runners ahead of him, the top 5, once they come into the pit lane, those guys will have nice clear air, and they'll have really nice tyres up until they need to come to the pits, where they can fit the softs and go to the end. So just sitting in the DRS of each other, they're not going to be using up anything. They can just cruise and have a really nice time, be on the softs, the quicker tyres towards the end. So they are definitely ones to watch in this Grand Prix, so keep an eye on them.
Toxic 4.3 seconds behind. He was about 5.2 behind Matthias when he came out the pit lane, so already you can see the hards beginning to work and beginning to come into play there. He's down in 14th. There he is, out on track coming through turn 2 and then through turn 3, and Toxic will be hoping. And as well, talk about the undercut around here. Toxic has pitted in earlier than Connor, than Bolin, than Montana, who was ahead of him out on track. I think from Toxic's perspective, he's essentially got to push. He's got to put in lap after lap to try and get some sort of undercut on these guys, because Montana, Bolin and Connor, they're going through Spoon right now. Toxic is about to approach the hairpin, and that gap out on track is 23.8 seconds out on track currently. So if that gap, I think, falls under 22 seconds, then Toxic might have an undercut on his hands.
Yeah, and all the guys in front of him, the soft runners at the moment who've stayed out to this point, are probably going to try and gun for the medium tyres. So
Bolin's in.
Bolin, we'll see what tyres he's going to go on to. He's just running
Neo
up towards Neo's also in as well. So yeah, we'll see what tyres these guys go on. I'd expect probably at this point.
Yeah, possibly mediums. They could go on to a set of hards. Bolin, yeah, I think playing it safe. Neo going more risky and going for a set of medium compound of tyres. Toxic, by the way, is nowhere to be seen. He's just entering camera shot there now. There's Bolin coming out the pit lane. He's going to be ahead of Neo, but he's not going to be ahead of Bolin. And Toxic rejoins still in relatively clear air. He's got Bolin about a second and a half up the road. So that's not too bad of a position to come out in, if I've got to be honest. Looking out on track as well, Verstappen's still quite close to the back of Cohen. We've got Alphatrix as well, quite close to the back of Kuki Games. But Alphatrix, what is he trying to do? He's still on that set of soft compound tyres. Just ASAP got caught up in that contact with D. Daniel, and he's still out there on the same tyres as the front three. Surely Alphatrix and just ASAS are thinking mediums to the end, 17 laps, they can work.
Yeah, I definitely think that is on the cards for them, but one thing that might not be good for another driver is Connor, because he is right behind Montana, and just for this race he is standing as his teammate, so that is really not going to be what he wants if they're going to have to box in the same position. If Montana stays out this extra lap, then Connor should be in. And what's it going to be?
Montana's
it's going to be Montana into the pit lane, and Connor staying out one more than he probably would have liked there.
Alphatrix is right on the back of Kuki Games as well, putting Kuki under a lot of pressure. He'll be looking to grab the Kukis out on track for Alphatrix. That's a terrible pun, I know, as he runs down the hill, down in towards turn 1. I will not get away with that in the comment section. Alphatrix then running on the back of Kuki Games. I think he's just going to sit him behind and wait. It's not close enough through turn 1 and through turn 2. And that's pretty much how we were. Montana has came out, actually right side by side with Bolin. Bolin is right behind him, coming through turn 2, and Montana has just about escaped a possible coming together there with Bolin. Bolin was closed up very quick, but Bolin behind Montana, crucial, because Montana's on a set of mediums and he can now begin, I think, to dominate this race.
Yeah, those tyres can definitely make it to the end. Towards the end of the Grand Prix, Bolin might come back at him, but he just won't be close enough. The time difference is going to be so much. Those mediums won't take long to heat up at all. So you can already see just visually on the circuit. You don't even have to look at the timing sheet how much quicker Montana is. This is going to be a crucial traction zone. And just look at the difference in grip that Montana's had against Bolin. Both these guys similar levels of ERS, and he's already about to lose the DRS to Montana ahead.
Yeah, Bolin 7/10 of a second off Verstappen, still looking quite close on Cohen. Rocco, however, has picked up the pace, and now with Connor coming into the pit lane, Rocco can focus his attentions possibly on Alphatrix, who might stay out there. He might come into the pit lane. Wouldn't be surprised if he does come into the pit lane, but it is an uphill task for him if he does want to come in. And yeah, Alphatrix is in. Out in front, Connor responds, puts on a set of mediums. Where is Montana? Montana is coming out the final corner now. We're right on board with him. I think this is going to be a no-brainer. Montana sets the new fastest lap of the race, I think, and he is going to be ahead of Connor. There is Connor just exiting the pit lane, and Connor is behind Bolin. And that's not a bad scenario to be in, because now Connor can push. Toxic on the back on a set of hard compound of tyres. We've got Neo and Suku battling out through turn 2 as well. But Montana is 9/10 off the back of Matthias, and that is crucial. Matthias now, for Sidemax, because he is part of Sidemax Motorworks, of course, Montana is going to be hoping to try and get this move done sooner rather than later. But Bolin, all he's got to do at this point in the race is stay within a second of Montana, and he might just have a chance.
Yeah, well, Matthias, he has all the cards in his hand at the moment. He could choose to hold up the Alfa Romeo driver, the championship leader, or he could let him through and respect the fact that he is the net leader of the Grand Prix, but of course that is his choice entirely. Bolin's already about to lose the DRS to Montana, whereas Connor is only 4/10 off the back of Bolin, and he could maybe sense an opportunity coming very soon. He's already got those tyres up to temperature, so he will be rapid in comparison to the Haas driver. You can see he's using up a little bit of ERS. For some reason his delta's a bit of a glitch, and he's actually going to come at him towards the Casio triangle. He's going to go down the inside. He's actually made that work.
But Bolin has picked up the DRS, I think, has he? No, he hasn't. And Connor has got that move done. Here comes Montana and Matthias. Matthias will not make life easy. Rocco as well as right on the back of Kuki, but Montana is through on Matthias. Gets the move done. Connor through on Bolin through the Casio triangle. He's up into P8. Rocco, however, not close enough to get to Kuki Games, and he remains in that position for now. Does Kuki in 4th. Montana has cleared, though, Matthias. And I would have been honest. If Matthias had pulled out just that little bit more of a gap, he would have made life really hard for Montana. Knowing the track history of these two back in the day, Matthias would have made Montana really work for that position. In the end, it's quite a simple move down the straight. But now Connor is going to be on the receiving end of Matthias's great defensive driving. I've seen his defensive driving plenty of times, and Matthias is probably one of the best out there when it comes to defensive driving, and he nearly caught the curb coming through the hairpin there. And now Connor, is he going to try and size up a move up towards Spoon? I don't think he's going to be close enough, and yeah, he's not going to use up any overtake mode at all. We are halfway through here in Japan. It's Koen who leads, Verstappen second, Killer Blue third. The top five plus Matthias still yet to come in. Daniel and Short will have to make a secondary pit stop as well. But these guys that we ride on board with, Connor, Bolin and the likes, are staying out there right till the end of the race. Rocco really close to the back of Kuka Games, nearly lunging it down the inside of the Picasso triangle.
He's going to have a really good run coming up towards the first corner. Overtake is enabled, and so is his DRS. Just look at the absolute difference in speed, upwards of 325 kilometers per hour coming through the first corner into turn two. Again, trying to have a look at him back, but that is the move done. And Connor has found a way past Matthias, so they're just catching him in the right position to make the move on the DRS straight. But now it's going to be Bolin who's going to be behind Matthias, and he is just sinking like a rock in water. Is Matthias, so yeah, maybe gonna start just letting these guys through a little bit easier.
Does a rock sink in water? Yeah.
If it's say.
Answers on a postcard, I think, in the comment section with that one. I'm really unsure. I'm just thinking it through in my head. I'm really unsure on that one. Montana, though, is on the back of Kuka Games. Kuka Games trying to have a go at Rocco. But because these two, Rocco and Kuka Games, are beginning to fall over each other, look at the gap. What is happening in behind? Montana is catching these guys hand over fist. Obviously, he's on the fresher tyres, and obviously, he's going to try and carry these right to the end of the race as well. Possibly about 16 laps, we think, on a set of mediums will work. 17 certainly would have been possible, I think, as well. Kuka Games, though, has dropped off. Montana's not going to be close enough. I'll tell you what, though, Bolin looking quite close to the back of Matthias. And if you were the guys towards the top end of the field, Koen Verstappen, would you be trying to eke out those mediums to go onto a set of softs?
I definitely think that is going to be where their strategy is headed at the moment. You know, they've got plenty of life left in these tyres. They can go probably to lap 17, so about 2 to 3 more runs on this tyre. And here comes Bolin on Matthias, again in the same part of the track that it has been every single lap for Matthias. He's trying to fight this around the outside, but Bolin just finds a way through, and Matthias down into 9th. Now Toxic quite a ways back, 2 seconds almost off of the Dutchman. So Toxic's really just not having a good time on those mediums, the hards that he's been on for 6 laps so far.
I think he's been overheating the tyres slightly. There's a little bit of blistering occurring on the rear right visibly. Kuka Games picked up a 3-second time penalty. That's the first time, actually, I might have seen a 3-second time penalty pop up this race. Koen does leave Verstappen second, Killer Blue in third. We'll go to the battle for the lead now as Koen defends off Verstappen, and McLaren against AlphaTauri out on track for the lead of the race. And as Dan said, we are thinking, certainly in the commentary box here, that these guys will go onto a set of soft compound of tyres. I think they can make about a lap, 7, 8 laps, I think, on that set of tyres. Getting a little bit of a revving out glitch there with Koen, who jumped now on board with Verstappen. He tries to hunt down. Montana, by the way, is just latching onto the back of Rocco and Kuka Games in behind. And Connor 1.5 seconds. I've got to be honest, Connor he might be only on about 4 or 5% fresher tyres than Montana as Koen is in from the lead of the race. He is I think he's not liking these tyres as much as what you would have imagined, to be honest, because on that set of tyres, he should be theoretically quicker than Montana.
Yeah, maybe he's just not in the right frame of mind to be as quick as him, but yeah, at this point in the race, the softs aren't going to be quick enough for the guys to go to the end, to just come to the Cohen and Cook again. Well, the first to blink, and Alphatrix down the inside of M Short, and well, Cohen could have made it 3 wide, but luckily he backed off. So that is really nice to see that they are trying to keep it clean whilst they do want the positions. Fresh softs on board with the Dutchman, though. He will be absolutely rapid in comparison to M Short, and he's been on these tyres for 13 laps at the moment. And of course, Alphatrix ahead of him.
Yeah, Cohen's going to be so much quicker than M Short. Alphatrix ahead of him is probably only on... He's on warmer tyres currently, but Cohen, these softs really get up to speed quite rapid. But he's got to really be challenged. 12 laps on a set of softs. I don't think they'll be able to make it. Kuka Games the same. 12 laps on a set of softs. I don't think that he'll be able to make it either. 25 seconds cover all 16 drivers currently out on track. Cohen on the back of M Short as we ride on board here up towards Spoon. And M Short still in 13th position. Alphatrix is only picking up the plum point currently out on track, which is not going to do his championship lead or championship challenge, I should say, any favour at all. Top two are in. Rocco is in as well. And that now promotes Montana into a clear lead of the race. Montana now will be in the lead, of course. Got a second. Bolin third. Toxic in fourth. Suku is charging him down, though.
Yeah, Suku on these medium tyres, a lot quicker at this point in the race, only 5 laps old, and they're probably going to be that way up until the very end of the Grand Prix.
Cohen's trying to have a go at them short down in towards turn 2. I was just going to say Verstappen's coming out in a right gaggle of cars. He's right on the back of just Asas on a set of softs. Killer Blue has came out nearly in that gaggle of cars, not the Matt Gallagher car of cars. Yeah, you know what I mean there. Kuka Games on the back. That's another terrible pun. This is probably why I'm not going to get voted commentator of the season this season. Verstappen on the back of just Asas, and he's fresh out of the pit lane. I was going to say, though, Killer Blue fresh out the pit lane as well. He's got a little bit of time and a little bit of clear air to try and have a go at some of the guys ahead. As now Cohen really close up to the back of M Short. He doesn't think about going for the move down the inside. Verstappen, however, back up on the inside through the hairpin, trying to get the run through, and you're not going to go around the outside towards Spoon, are you? Verstappen on the back of just Asas, looking very close, but I think just Asas has the run. There's a yellow flag in sector 2 and Matthias is round. Through the hairpin, I think he's got caught on the curb coming out of the hairpin. So unfortunate, and he's now spun and he's lost about 8 seconds out on track. Suku really challenging Toxic as well. You can see that rear right compound tyre flattening as Cohen is through down the straight on M Short. Verstappen is through on just Asas. Here we go there for P4. Suku going to sail past Toxic, it seems, down the straight. The Ferrari pulls out the slipstream, and that is job done for Suku. He is through and he's up into 4th out on track. Alphatrix now up into 7th. Cohen and Verstappen still having a bit of a go. Just Asas closing up onto the back of Verstappen. Can he think about getting the move done? I don't think he can. Kuka Games is closing in on Killer Blue, but nobody is close enough. And M Short and D Daniel both into the pit lane to put on that set of soft compound tyres towards the end of the race. Matthias will go past them both.
Yeah, D Daniel and M Shorts, they've just not had a good race today. Of course, their early incidents really being a detriment to their Grand Prix, but then probably not going to get any points unless some insane drama kicks off, which I'm probably not expecting at this point in the race. They have had a pretty, albeit chaotic Grand Prix, as a lot has happened. I wouldn't put it up there with last week's Singapore, but it has been quite an entertaining watch, as Cohen is now only a second off of Alphatrix. This is where Cohen's charge is really going to start. He won't probably have too much in the tank to catch up to the likes of Neo and Toxic and challenge guys like Bolin and Suku at the front. Maybe catch Toxic once his tyres get to the point where they are just a lot slower than Cohen's, but of course only time will tell. Almost 5/10 an improvement from his previous best lap, Cohen, on this lap alone. So he's going to be raring on the back of Alphatrix. Doesn't look like he's too close to actually trying to mount a move on the Brit second in the championship, but he has got the DRS, which will be crucial for his overtake in the coming laps.
Yeah, Alphatrix remains in 7th, running down the straight. Cohen in 8th. Verstappen and just Asas in 10th. I was just going to come on to a point there. Verstappen and just Asas are being dragged into this by Cohen, I think. Cohen really beginning to come into it. Alphatrix is coming back to these guys. Neo, I'm afraid, is running a bit of no man's land currently out on track. He's 1.3 seconds off Toxic. He's not too far off, but if he tries to really push out on track, he can try and close in on Toxic, no problem at all, with those fresher or slightly fresher mediums that'll be at this point in the race. Montana, Connor and Bolin, the top 3. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to have a quick check of the standings. I just want to see who picked up P3 in Belgium, because I believe we've got the same result currently as we have in Belgium, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh.
At this stage in the race, I'm going to have a check.
Yeah, so we'll go back on board with Alphatrix because to correct an analogy I used earlier on in the Grand Prix, once all these soft runners are really up to temperature, he will sink like a very dense rock in water. I had to look that one up, but it's all good now. Here comes Cohen though. Overtake is enabled for him, and the DRS is activated. He's 4.5 tenths off. Watch that gap come down. Now it's 3, and it could be 2 very soon here, coming towards turn number 1. He's just not close enough to mount a challenge on Alphatrix. Is now off the exit of turn number 2. The gap is now 3 tenths of a second, and you can just see the difference in grip that he has through this snake section. 7-lap-old mediums are going to be absolutely nothing compared to 3-lap-old softs. They are going to be in their prime. He's white hot in terms of temperature of his own talent, really, and he's not really improving too much. But of course, it's not about lap time, it's what you're doing in comparison to your rivals, and you can just see how the gap has increased a little bit, and that really just does prove how difficult it is to follow around this circuit in the dirty air of the Williams car in front.
And that's why Verstappen, I think, is trying to close in on these guys. I honestly think Verstappen is quicker at these 3 guys. Cohen is just beginning to pull into Alphatrix slightly. I'll correct myself by what I said there. Bolin didn't even start in Belgium. It was Alphatrix who took 3rd back in Belgium. So that's my prediction already gone out the window with that. Montana, Connor, Bolin, though, still leading out on track. Lap 21 out of 27 has just begun for the leaders, as now Cohen ranges up to have a go at Alphatrix through the Casio Triangle for the 20th time for these guys out on track. And Cohen again. Alphatrix just gets a mastery run coming out of the Casio Triangle, and Cohen is not close enough at all. If he used up a bit of overtake mode, then I think he would have been really close to the back of Alphatrix, maybe even through on Alphatrix. But Cohen still stays in behind for now, and there's not really much happening in behind either. Just ASAS is unfortunately running a bit of no man's land as well. He's getting closed in by Killer Blue, Kooky and Rocco in behind for the final point scoring positions. Of course, top 12 score points rather than the top 10 here in League of Europe, if you are tuned in for the first time. Montana, though, leading the way. Connor is still 1.4 seconds off the back, and those gaps towards the top end of the field have just been completely and utterly stagnant.
That was actually what I was thinking. It's been about 1.5 seconds between Montana and Connor for pretty much ever since the pit stop window happened. And then Bolin has been about 2 seconds off of Connor, but one gap that is steadily coming down ever so slightly is the gap between Bolin and Suka. Suka's just really giving him a tiny bit each and every lap. 2.7 seconds though, probably not going to be close enough to mount a challenge. And now Cookie Games is out. This could be a safety car, a late safety car could be on the horizon.
That's Wasim Matthias. Where is he out on track? He's on the left-hand side of the track, so it's actually on track. Kuka Games has crashed the car, but I think because, yeah, his car's been cleared and there's no safety car at all.
Well, really unfortunate. Either way for Cookie Games now, and yeah, Alphatrix just can't. Cohen just can't get close enough to Alphatrix. I don't know what he needs to do. It might just be a detriment to Alphatrix's overall pace and just driving ability in comparison to Cohen's. No shade thrown at Cohen there. He is a very talented driver, and he is going to be having a decent haul of points in 8th position. Of course, the top 12 gets points, so 1 point going to Rocco at the moment, who's kind of dropped off the back of Killer Blue, or that might have just been not really shown because Cookie Games was in between these two cars. So yeah, really unfortunate for Cookie Games going back to him, and no safety car was brought out, so it didn't bring the field close at all.
Neo's reeling in Toxic, I believe. 1 second is the gap now. And the gap, I think, was about 1.4 last time around for Neo, as he's on the back of Toxic and tries to close up. He's got barely any overtake mode left. He's got 3% left coming through 130R. Really got to try and harvest that ERS for a final push on Toxic for possible top 5 position. Cohen is still not close enough to the back of Alphatrix, and look at what's happening now out on track. because it looks like the clouds are beginning to build slightly. This is now going to come in favour of the medium runners out on track rather than the sort of soft runners out on track, as Alphatrix currently still fends off the attentions of Cohen down there in 8th position. Killer Blue right on the back as well of just Asas, but not really anything happening in terms of track. I wish I could give you more action. I wish I could wave my magic wand and say there's going to be a safety car coming very soon indeed. I don't think there will be at this point in the race unless somebody crashes. Not going to use the B word at all. Killer Blue still on the back of just Asas, coming through Dunlop curve once again. He's getting close enough, but these mediums are just beginning to come into play, I feel.
Yeah, once you get to around 6 laps and 5 laps, which all these guys are on their soft tyres, that is when the mediums do begin to get back into their kind of window where they're around about equal, and that gap is just going to increase as the rest of the race goes on in terms of Alphatrix and Cohen. But just Asas seems to be struggling a little bit more, 1 lap older than Alphatrix and 1 lap younger on the car of Killer Blue, so the gap is there between the pair of them, and Killer Blue could be in a really good position to find himself in the top half of the field. Of course, from all the drivers that entered, we've had 5 retirements in this Grand Prix, more than we've had for a while, if I'm not mistaken, unless Singapore we had quite a few, but I'm not too sure if I remember that well.
I think we only had 2 DNFs, I think, in Singapore. Might be even less than that, but Killer Blue on the back of just Asas as of a 10th. Are we finally going to see what we have been lacking in quite a while? An overtake possibly is now due for Killer Blue, as Killer Blue is just going to absolutely sail past the Red Bull. And Killer Blue is through and he's up into P10, made light work of just Asas. And he's through and he's up into 10th. And at last, for the first time in about 6 or 7 laps, we see an overtake.
Yeah, we saw an overtake, and in a snap, we're going to go right back to everyone following each other. Japan, it doesn't really bring the best of racing out in people unless it is a chaotic race, but it is a very iconic track in Formula 1, so it is going to be on the calendar for quite some time. It is a very fun track to drive on 1 lap, but just racing around here, for me personally, it isn't my forte. I'm not too strong around this circuit, and I'm sure this is a track that will catch out a lot of these guys, which is probably why we've seen such an interesting Grand Prix throughout this one.
Yeah, Division 3, Division 4 also live, by the way. They're coming to the closing stages of their races as well. I will reiterate this at the end of the stream, but we do have Division 2 and Division 5 action coming for you at a slightly later time of 10 past 8 tonight. 10 past 8 here in the UK will be the time where you will see Division 2 and Division 5. Daka and Verstappen taking you through that one. Daka obviously going for an early bath here in Division 1. He'll be getting prepared, I'm sure, for Division 2. And Division 5 is going to be Ivy Bryn Mike, and I believe Eloise Mark is going to be there as well, old school, of course. Just Asas is closing in once again on the back of Killer Blue, but he's not close enough down in towards Turn 1. But yeah, not really much happening with 3 laps to go. Montana leads 1.1 seconds. Connor's just eating into the advantage slightly, but I think it's because Montana's tyres are 1 lap older than Connor. Connor is now just beginning to try and sneak that little bit closer to within that DRS range, certainly. But if I've got to be honest, Montana is just in a different league. He's controlling the race by himself out in front. He's extending his championship lead over Alphatrix. It's exactly what you want.
Yeah, really strong haul of points from Montana if he can keep this win. By the way though, Connor does actually have quite a bit more ERS to play with. He is beginning to use just a little bit of that up to stay within just that short gap. He's just over the DRS limit. Of course, 1 second you need to be within that DRS range. And something we might not have noticed, Alphatrix, unless you said, and I had completely zoned out.
Nope.
But Alphatrix is right to the back of Neo here, and he could be a late one coming into this Grand Prix for a late overtake. Of course, 2 laps left in this Grand Prix as they cross the line now. So for the 26th time, they cross the line to begin the lap number 26. I've kind of lost my train of words as I'm getting a bit tired today. I've been up for a long time.
Alphatrix is right on the back of Neo. Yeah, I was just going to come on to that point actually. Alphatrix has just been reeling in Neo. I think he's gained about 3 or 4 tenths a lap, certainly on the last lap around, and he's right on the back of Neo, and it's all because Neo's tyres are beginning to overheat, and Alphatrix might be sensing that he can take an extra point or two off Neo just ahead of him out on track. He is barely a car's width behind him now as he comes down in towards the Degners once again through Degner 1 and then Degner 2. Similar to the Lesmos, but yeah, not going to call them that. Have I called them the wrong name? No, I haven't. Alphatrix right on the back of Neo through the hairpin. And looking really close to the back once again, but Neo gets a really good run out. 17% of ERS compared to 57% of Alphatrix. Connor is just about within DRS range. He's using up that overtake mode, and now he's within DRS range. For now, until he gets the Casio triangle, where I think he might be under the pressure once again. We'll see if he's got the DRS detection. There's the DRS detection point. He's within a second, and for the first time in a while, Connor is going to have a little bit of a go at Montana onto the final lap of the race. Speaking of having a go, though, here comes Alphatrix down the inside and towards Casio triangle. No, he backs off, and Cohen is right on the back of this as well. Three-way battle for 6th, now beginning to develop, and we're on to the final lap of the race. Alphatrix is surely now going to get the run on Neo. Running down the straight is going to try and get the CRS open, and absolutely sailed on by. Alphatrix pulls to the right-hand side. That's how you pull off an overtake around here in Japan. And Alphatrix is through, and he's up into P6. He made that look one pretty easy, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just all about damage limitation at this point for Alphatrix. Of course, the win is completely off the cards on the final lap. But tell you what, Connor could snatch it off of Montana. He is now snuck to within 0.6 of a second. He is absolutely rapid in comparison to Montana, both of similar levels of ERS at the moment. Connor used up a lot to get this gap down, and he's actually just dipped under 10%, where it begins to cut it off in terms of power. You're about 50% of the actual power.
Look at that.
When you're at 10%.
Connor really flew through the spoon curve, and he is beginning to close in on Montana, and whether or not he's going to use up this 50%, he needs to serve up his ERS a little bit. 6.5 tenths of the gap, running towards 130. Montana is going to hang on, barring any penalties. Montana has controlled this race right from the outset. He got the move done through turn 1. He hasn't looked back since. And Montana, round the final corner, not only wins here in Japan, but he extends his championship lead as well. Connor has glitched the timings by 2 minutes out on track. That's because he rejoined the session. He does finish second, though, out on track. Bolin in third, Suku in fourth, Toxic in fifth. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. Not sure what that is for. Alphatrix closing right at the back of Toxic. And did Toxic have... No, he didn't. Neo in 7th, Cohen in 8th, Verstappen 9th, Desais has 10th, Killer Blue in 11th, Rocco across the line in 12th. Look at D. Daniel right on the back of Matthias toward the line. Matthias is going to have to defend for his life as D. Daniel tries to use up every ounce of that ERS. And Matthias has glitched the timings as well and has finished second, apparently. D. Daniel 14th, and M. Short... really not his race at all, but he's trying to go for the fastest lap attempt. The fastest lap currently, if you were to ignore Connor's lap time, actually Matthias has had a 14.9, I've just noticed, out on track. I think the quickest lap time is a 27.7 from Alphatrix, so M. Short across the line, picks up the final point because 127.2 I think he got on that lap, and M. Short finishes in 15th and picks up that extra extra fastest lap point. Driver of the day apparently is Matthias.
Not sure about that one.
Really unsure about that one. But, anyways, let's have a look then at the top 3, the glitched top 3 on our end. And it is Montana, who does take to the top step of the podium. Matthias has, well, he's got on to the podium somehow, but he finished in 14th in the end in that race. But Montana has won, extends the championship lead, Connor finishing in 2nd and Bolin finishing in 3rd out on track. Really great racing here in Japan. Sure, the lap 1 incidents will all be investigated, all the stewards reports will be done in due course, and we'll update you next week in terms of that. But let's have a final rundown of our order and try and pinpoint where everyone has actually finished. If I can see that screen, that would be fantastic. But it's on please wait at the minute.
Oh.
There we are. Montana takes the win out on track from Connor in second, Bolin in third, Suku fourth, Toxic fifth, Alpha Trix in sixth, Neil dropped down in seventh with Cohen in eighth, Verstappen in ninth, Jasasas in 10th, Killerbloom in 11th, Rocco in 12th, the Daniel is 13th, Matthias 14th with a 5-second penalty, M Short 15th, Kuka Games, Daka, Kazizel and Schiaparelli and Campbell all picking up DNFs out on track. And for Kazizel, certainly his first race even in League of Europe, not that great at all. But fantastic racing out on track. And I've got to come to you, Dan. Who was your driver of the day?
My driver of the day, I'm going to give this one to Connor, because it is his second race in Division 1 this season, and his second place. So a lot of twos coming out from him, and he's going to be my number one in terms of the driver of the day, so really well done to him.
Yeah, Connor really set up the timing screens alight within qualifying. Didn't really produce it as much in the race. Still finished second though, which is a fantastic result. Montana winning out on track. And Montana extends that championship lead. And I've got to give my driver of the day, I think, to Montana, because he just dominated affairs out in front. We weren't really riding on board with him that much because he was doing such a good job. And I think Montana gets my driver of the day for it, certainly. And can see somebody has used a bad word within the Discord. And I'm not going to repeat it on stream, whatever that was. But next week, from Japan, we go to the not the penultimate race of the season. We've still got 4 rounds left after this one, and then round 15 of the championship goes to the Circuit of the Americas. The United States Grand Prix awaits us next week, and then the week after it's my birthday, so I'm going to be commentating you guys through Mexico. Of course, it wouldn't be a birthday commentary without me, would it?
Of course it wouldn't.
Of course it wouldn't. Somebody will have to fill in for me. Dak will probably have to fill in if I was to just suddenly turn around and say, oh, I'm not doing commentary on my birthday. But I've loved commentating the first 14 rounds of the championship. A Field, of course, joining in Spain, really doing a fantastic job out in the commentary box as well alongside me. United States next week, though, it's really a different track compared to Japan, and we should see a lot more overtaking.
Yeah, it is a much quicker circuit, I would say, and it is way wider than Suzuka, so I definitely think we are going to see a very competitive race. Hopefully, in the case of Alpha Trix's championship, he can snag just a good result. 4 races now without a win, his last win being in Hungary all those weeks ago, and his second race in a row without a podium. So could this be the end of his championship? He will just need to pick it up in the USA.
If we have seen the form that both drivers have carried in, though, I wouldn't be surprised if Alpha Trix wins next week. He has been such a revelation, I think, so far this season. Montana and him have literally been going at it hammer and tongs. You will get to see what happens next week in the United States Grand Prix. Division 2 and Division 5 will be live for you guys. And on track on the streams very shortly indeed, in 20 minutes time at 8 UK time, and that is of course going to be Division 2, Daka and Verstappen taking you through that one. Division 5 is going to be either Bryn Mike and Eloise Mark going to be taking you through that one as well. If it's not, it's just going to be either Bryn Mike by himself. But that is it. We have reached the end here in Division 1. Round 14 of the championship is complete. We will see you next week in the United States. Thank you so much for tuning in to Division 1 tonight. Please take care of yourselves, take care of your family as well. We know it's tough out there, but keep going, keep calm and carry on. For myself and Dan, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.